The Gloriana Set by ThebeMoon. Read by LMX Mabella. Halloween Part 2. "Hello, Malfoy," Hermione said, brightly polite. "Here to buy a raffle ticket." Malfoy's lip curled. "Hardly." A pair of snifty little Slytherin boys then stepped up to the raffle table, looking like mini Malfoys with their hair slicked back. "Raffle tickets?" Hermione asked in the same cheery tone. "Proceeds go to St. Mungo's." The boy looked at the 14-volume stack of Herbs of Desire and sneered identical sneers. "Forget it," the taller boy said. Hermione gave him a look. No thank you, Miss Granger." "2 sickles each," Malfoy said. He casually pushed up his black coat sleeve and shirt cuff, revealing just the edge of a snake and skull on his forearm. The boys stared wide-eyed, then practically broke their arms, getting coins out of their pockets. Hermione handed them the 2 tickets and watched them flee. "Draco Malfoy using the dark mark to sell charity tickets?" she said with a grin. "You're giving Death Eaters a bad name." She touched a chair beside her, a silent invitation. Malfoy stood gracefully into the chair, but didn't look at her. His pale profile shone in the lamplight. "They're still out there, you know," he said soberly. "Scattered and leaderless, but watching." "Yes," was all she said. She knew Harry and the other Aurors were chasing every lead in their hunt for the Death Eaters still at large. She was surprised Kingsley hadn't returned with another warrant to question Malfoy. "Aren't you afraid, knowing they're out there?" he asked. "Not right now," she said, sipping her punch. "It did taste rather awful." He snorted lightly in disbelief, still looking out at the rather listless crowd. "You feel safe at Hogwarts?" "I feel safe with you." Malfoy's profile froze. Then he slowly turned his head toward her, shifting in his chair. Hermione didn't look away. It was a truth. Of course, Hogwarts was a dangerous place. She'd known that since first year. The war might be over, but danger still lurked in dark corners, and Hermione never felt safe these days unless she was with the wizard beside her. Malfoy was still staring at her. Nobody, it was clear, had said such a thing to him before. His warm hand found hers under the table. "I can't believe you said that," he whispered, a slight tremble to his voice. "Number 3, she said, trying to keep her own voice steady. Malfoy blinked at her, confused. "Number 3 on the gratitude list. Say something nice to Draco." He gave her a predatory smile. "Feel free to skip ahead." Hermione flushed. "You and your lists. You could develop your own life optimization organizational plan. I could help you." A faint eye roll. "I think not." "At least let me review your study guides." Malfoy bent his head closer to hers, soft breath against her cheek, and still holding hers. "I look forward to you touching many things of mine, Hermione, but never my study guides." "Ah-ha!" Hermione cried. Malfoy jumped back in his chair and dropped her hand, startled. She beamed at him. "I knew it! I knew you couldn't do so well in classes without study guides! Good on you! Do you use a subject-based or time-based system? I find a hybrid. My study guides are my own private business," Malfoy snapped, nettled. "Yes, very true," Hermione said cordially. "One should always respect others' personal planning documents." Malfoy ground his teeth, but said nothing. Hermione followed up with a few useful suggestions about estimating time blocks as they watched the dancers. Annie was now attempting to waltz with Luna, who insisted on following some tune inside her head. Blaise was leading out Ginny, who had traded her dinner dress for slashed and tattered pink robes with a pink bow in her hair. Ginny had obviously followed through on her threat to dress as Umbridge after running with the centaurs. Hermione could only be grateful that Firenze had already left. "All right, sod off," a snippy voice said. Pansy stood before them in purple brocade robes. She held a bottle of siren scotch in one green-gloved hand. "Finally, some decent liquor," Malfoy drawled. "Not for you," Pansy said, waving him away. "Sod off, I said." "I think Hermione would prefer." Malfoy began smoothly in his best Lucius voice. Hermione grinned. "You had Parkinson. Sod off." "I didn't know you two even spoke," Malfoy said, eyes narrowing. Pansy smirked and splashed scotch into 2 cups, handing one to Hermione. "How about a raffle ticket, Parkinson?" Hermione asked, sipping her drink. These Slytherins were spoiling her. Pansy sniffed at a stack of books.
I hate plants.
Which is ironic if you think about it, Malfoy said. Why, Malfoy? Hermione said, acting surprised. Are you still here?
He's very needy, Pansy said. Can't bear it when he's not the centre of attention.
Malfoy's eyes darted between them. I find the situation, frankly, terrifying. Did you hear something? Hermione asked.
Not a thing,
Pansy said. Malfoy stood scowling at them both and stalked off. Hermione and Pansy tapped their cups together and drank.
That was fun,
Pansy said, settling in the chair he had vacated. Hermione eyed the dark-haired woman over the rim of her cup. I suspect you're not here to help me sell raffle tickets.
Salazar, no.
Pansy looked over at Malfoy, who'd been stopped by Percival and Bertie, and Cupcake by the face-painting booth. Both boys wore snake faces with glowing red eyes, and someone had turned the pygmy puff green. They looked like tiny Voldemorts. Honestly, where was McGonagall? This whole cursed festival would give everybody nightmares.
Strange seeing Draco with a baby Hufflepuffs, Pansy said. I suppose that is your influence.
Hermione glowered. He enjoys corrupting them. The scotch was tingling through her veins, and the smell brought her back to Stockholm's office. You're right, I wouldn't like it at all.
Ranger!
Pansy snapped.
Focus! I want to talk about Draco.
Last time it was Theo. Hermione set down her cup. Will we be discussing Blaze next week, or are you stalking Ginny as well? Pansy shrugged and poured another drink for each of them.
Blaze can handle Weasley. Draco, on the other hand.
She glanced around, then leaned closer to Hermione.
His behaviour towards you has not gone unnoticed, Granger. At first I thought it was part of his plan, befriending you, helping you with that potion. Now I suspect feelings are involved.
Hermione said nothing, just took another drink. What could she possibly say?
I don't like it. Not just for Theo's sake,
Pansy said, her eyes intent.
Draco is now pursuing you openly, and you full concede, but a public relationship between you two could only hurt him. How do you think the wizarding world would treat a Death Eater who seduced the innocent golden princess?
Hardly.
It will matter, Pansy sighed. That will be the story it already is. Theo receives some threatening else and howls after the Prophet picture. He's a nod, which is as good as a Death Eater to many.
Hermione sat up straight. He never told me.
It would be even worse for Draco, Pansy went on. The Wizengamot could open his case again.
Hermione slammed her drink on the table, liquid sloshing out of the cup. No, Parkinson, Malfoy is not going to Azkaban. I will not allow it. Harry would not allow it. I will bring down the fucking ministry before he spends one day. A loud snap made both women jump, startled. Pansy stared at the large crack in the glass bowl, holding the raffle tickets. So you can just dial down the threats. Hermione continued calmly, repairing the bowl with a touch of her wand. I appreciate that you care about your friends, and like I said in the Leaky Cauldron, you're not entirely out of line. Yes, the Aura Office is interested in Malfoy, and yes, I know that linking his name with mine will harm more than help his reputation. Hermione gave Pansy a hard look. But don't you dare say that caring for me will lend him an Azkaban. I would not allow it. Pansy swallowed.
I believe you.
Excellent. Hermione drained her drink. I hope we're done here.
Not quite. You want to watch yourself?
Astoria? Hermione said. Pansy nodded. I'm in her way. Pansy nodded again. Hermione just smiled. Let's just say that Astoria has my attention now.
You're planning something.
A crafty smile curved Pansy's mouth, heavily painted in dark red lipstick.
I want to help.
It's just an idea. I need more time in the library. What's this? Asked an amused voice. Pansy Parkinson and Hermione Granger making plans to go to the library? Over scotch? Hermione looked up and smiled. Hello, Theo. The Slytherin looked entirely at ease, his long black coat open to reveal a grey jumper and black trousers, but his gaze was watchful.
It's just a chums project,
Pansy said airily. Theo gave Pansy a sharp look, clearly unconvinced. Would you care to dance, Hermione? Yes, thank you. Hermione jumped up and set down her cup, wobbling a bit.
Oh, no, Granger, Pansy objected. You are not leaving me here to...
Is it too late to buy tickets? Neville appeared in front of the table looking eager. He had shed the most obnoxious features of his winkweed costume, which is to say, nearly all of them, including the vines and big flower hat. Now he looked quite dashing in dark green robes, standing an inch taller than Theo and his shoulders nearly as broad. Hermione caught the gleam in Pansy's eyes. "Parkinson will help you, Nev," Hermione said, taking Theo's hand. "She's very interested in plants." Hermione tugged at Theo, who was frowning in confusion, and led him to the dance floor as Neville asked Pansy, "Really? Do you prefer flowering plants or arboreal?" "What was that all about? Pansy kills any plant she touches," Theo asked her, pulling her into a waltz. "Really? Did Slughorn's instrument know anything else? And when did you and Pansy start drinking together? And studying?" Hermione shrugged. "Inter-house unity, extra credit." "Oh, I didn't know Pansy cared about either of those things." "People change," Hermione said. Theo smiled but said nothing, and they waltzed in silence for a time. Theo danced as elegantly as Malfoy, but held her more firmly and led more aggressively. While Malfoy enticed her when they danced, lightly drawing her where he wanted to go, Theo kept her close, his body leaving her little room to maneuver. "I love seeing you in green," he murmured in her ear. "You should be draped in emeralds." "And what do emeralds mean?" Hermione teased. "Ambition, cunning." "Rebirth," Theo said. "Love." He smiled down at her. "We Slytherins aren't all cold calculation." Hermione stumbled, blushing. Maybe she should have paid attention in Bluebell's class. She hoped to Godric that Theo didn't have some emerald bauble in his coat pocket, passed down through generations of knots and enchanted to scream horribly whenever another man complimented her. The sound of flapping wings made Hermione and Theo look up to see a rather bedraggled owl circling above them. Theo instantly released her and moved off the dance floor to where the owl had perched on a chair. The owl's brown feathers were ruffled and matted, its eyes dull. Theo pulled a tightly rolled message off the bird's leg and opened it. "Theo, I think it's injured," Hermione said, stroking its rumpled feather. It hooted softly. "Can you make it to the owlery?" she asked the bird. "There is food there, and you can rest." The owl hooted again and awkwardly flew off. "Oh, I must go," Theo said. Hermione looked up, startled. The note had vanished, and he was buttoning his coat. "Urgent business. I'm very sorry." He gave her a quick, hard kiss and strode off towards the castle, apparently considering that a sufficient explanation. It wasn't. "Theo!" Hermione called, running after him, a black flower that flopped wildly. "Where are you going? Theo!" He stopped and turned, his broad, handsome face lit by a floating light above them. "It's nothing for you to worry about, Hermione," he said, trying to smile. "I will see you tomorrow." "Something's wrong," she said. "Where did that owl come from? Tell me." Theo brushed her cheeks with his fingers. "Oh, I can't, Hermione. Go back to the festival. Have fun." "Tell me," she repeated stubbornly. He dropped the half smile and gave her a stern look. "No, Hermione, I don't think I will." She stared up at him, open-mouthed. "I didn't press you last Sunday when you rushed out of the castle in a black cloak," Theo went on, his voice cool. "I haven't asked you what you were doing in those woods yesterday, and I won't ask you again why you're scheming with Pansy." Her green eyes held hers. "I only request the same courtesy." This is different," Hermione stammered. "Theo!" "Don't worry," he said, patting her hand. "I'm not angry with you." Hermione frowned. "I don't care if you're angry at me. I want to know why blood-stained owls are dropping urgent messages on your head." "No, Hermione, you're making a scene." Hermione glared. "I'll make a scene if I want to, Theodonard. I'll yell when I want, where I want. Did you just kiss my forehead?" she screeched. He just kissed her forehead and patted her on the top of her flower hat. She couldn't move. She was so outraged and thus lost valuable time, allowing Theo to dash through the castle door. Hermione ran after him, hiking up her ropes, pounding through the entrance hall and down to the dungeons. She stopped at the portrait of a snake charmer guarding the Slytherin common room.
"What's this? A nosy little Gryffindor dressed as a black hellebore?"
the charmer sneered.
"Oh, come in."
Theo did not come through here," she panted. The charmer shrugged.
"I really can't say."
Hermione stamped her foot in frustration, and the portrait looked even more contemptuous, if that were possible. Even his bloody snake was sneering at her, but she locked eyes with it anyway. Theo was a parcel mouth. "Tell him I'm here, please," she begged the painted cobra. The hooded snake swayed for a few seconds, then slithered out of the frame. Hermione waited, tapping her foot for several agonizing minutes. Finally, the snake returned. "Is he there?" she asked. The snake shook its head and curled up at the snake charmer's feet. Hermione slumped, defeated. She hoped Theo wasn't trying to sneak out of the castle. Stubborn man. Why wouldn't he just let her help? "Run along, little Gryffindor," the charmer said, and began to play a slow, haunting tune. The cobra uncoiled and swayed, red eyes fixed on Hermione. She stomped off, back straight. Ye gods, the dungeons were a horrible place. She couldn't bring herself to return to that wretched festival, so she went up to her bedroom instead and sat on her desk, wrapped in a blanket, so she could look out the window. Ginny was still off with Blaise and likely wouldn't return that night. The sky was cloudy and dark, with only an eerie glow from the celebration far below. Hermione cracked the window open, allowing the faint sound of Slughorn's instruments to drift into the room along with colder air. Leaned her cheeks against the cold glass, thinking of the look in Malfoy's eyes when she said she felt safe with him. "See, I can admit what I'm feeling." Hermione dozed off to the music, pressed against the glass, dreaming of waltzes, sweeping, heady waltzes high in the air, so high she couldn't possibly fall. To be continued. Up next, Hermione makes a new friend. Thank you for listening to this chapter of the Gloriana set by ThebeMoon, read by LMXMabella. If you would like to stay up to date on upcoming chapters and stories, you can follow me on Spotify, YouTube, or AO3.